Hey everyone, I wanted to do an unveiling today. I realized it's been a while since my last video, but we've just been plugging along doing the cleanup from a fire-wise perspective. So reducing the fire load on the property and getting that stuff done. We're kind of on a timeline to get that done, and then uh, we'll move forward with our pump house and a couple other things later this summer. But in the meantime, we've got a couple things that we've got done, and I wanted to show you a couple of those. I mean, behind me you can see that our grass is growing fairly decently. It's just, we planted all the way around there. Directly behind me is the septic field, which is done and doing its job, temporary chicken coop. And then Tara's garden. So Tara's garden, we put that fencing there. That's actually the inner fence, and what we're intending on doing is once we get our sawmill on site, I'm going to mill up matching posts to go all the way around this for a second layer of fencing. And what that'll do is it'll create a little pathway around, and it'll hook into the chicken coop, which again, that's just a temporary one, but the permanent chicken coop will be attached to that little run. So it creates a moat that goes all the way around the chicken coop, 2 fences, and the chickens are allowed to roam in that moat, keeping the bugs at bay, so forth, so on, giving them a little bit of extra room to roam without having them truly free ranging. And yeah, so there we go. But we're pretty happy with how the garden's turning out this year. We moved some of the garden beds around and just used what we had on hand and just put them together real quick. When I milled up these posts for this fence, I took the flitches, the little round cut off edges, and created those little garden boxes over there, which is corn, and Tara's got some beans and peas and zucchini, I think, in that one. But anyways, so I think it's going pretty well. The garden is looking pretty good. Again, when we have the mill on site and I can start milling some stuff up, we're going to put a box that runs the entire length of that part right there. So it'll have a 3-foot pathway right there, and then a 30-inch box, probably 2 by 6 tall, and that runs the entire length of that. So that leads me to the unveiling for today, which is the fire trailer. We finally got it done and up and running. I've been posting things on Facebook with the manufacturer of it, and I just wanted to give a brief overview of what we've got going here. This is it set up in its fully functional capacity. And well, let me just start from the beginning. The trailer itself, the frame, was actually a find at the scrapyard. We took that, we replaced the axle, and the existing axle that was on it was just problematic, and we just got to the point where it's like, go ahead and replace it. I had just recently replaced the tire, so there's new tires on there, but we for all intents and purposes, we disassembled the trailer and reinforced it, put it back together with struts and things like that underneath key points, like on the corners of the cube there that has all the water in it. So there's extra supports underneath that in order to support it, and then we put it all back together. I got rid of the plywood decking, and I actually put in pressure treated 2x6 stuff all the way across, so it's a nice and heavy duty deck. We extended originally it was just down here, and then we added on that diamond plate in order to make that a little deeper. So that's a nice little spot for wheel chocks, miscellaneous stuff. I've discovered that my gas cans actually fit, because of the angle of them. They fit nice and neat in one of those corners, so it's a nice snug fit. Anyways, I'm still playing around with what exactly can go in there, but it's a nice little storage area. Added on the support right there, the little jack. That's dual purpose. Not only does it allow us to plant the trailer somewhere when it's not in use and not have to worry about it, being on a log or something like that, but it also allows us to level out the trailer. So if we're on a downhill slope or something like that and we want to get every last bit of water out of the cube, if it's angled down, we may have to angle it back up a little bit, and that jack comes in handy. So it it gives us quite a bit of an angle to be able to level it out. The toolbox right there is just a old beat up truck box, and I believe that was got for free, and then it just went through a couple of different hands, and then it ended up in mine. Kind of, it's in my way, it's bent, and let's just get it out of the way. And it's, I mean, for a little toolbox that's meant to be used and abused anyways, it's free, and where can you go wrong with that? And then I've got that it all situated so that it actually, the lid will go up without having to fight the cube. And then we got a variety of different things in here also. I've got a couple of different 1 3/4 hoses. I've got the jack and the jack stands in case we have to do something with the tires. And I've been gradually gathering and creating more fittings to fit a variety of situations. If we need to hook up to something, the different things that I already hook up to, ranging from just standard garden hose type stuff all the way up to my cam lock things for filling it down at the water station. 1 3/4 double females. I mean, I've got all sorts of different possibilities in regards to things, and I'm sure I'm going to be picking up more. But yeah, it's getting there. I feel like it's fully functional based on this right now, and then for versatility, we can add stuff later. The pump itself. So I'll describe this in 3 components. The motor was something that was picked up at a garage sale for like $30. And then I ordered the pump housing from Northern Tool. And so all together, this whole thing cost about $130. And then we fabricated, I say we, but big shout out to my brother-in-law, John, because he does a lot of fabricating metal work and things like that. But we fabricated this cage to go around the pump so I can take it off and service it and do things with it, winterize it. And then a lot of the hosing stuff, you know, I've just got hosing going different directions to accomplish different things. Obviously, it coming from the cube, it comes out, it tees and comes over to the pump, and then it comes out of the pump and comes back around. And then this is where it kind of gets interesting, because you got a main discharge, and this is an 1 3/4 fitting right here with a garden hose fitting attachment. It tees over here, which goes to the hose reel, and then I've got another line that goes into the back, and if you trace that, it actually follows that hose up and goes up to the top. And what that one is a recirculation hose, because the pumps, if you're not actually flowing water and the pump is running, it can overheat the pump. It causes cavitation, and lots of bad stuff can happen. So you want to have a little bit of water running, and that's what that particular little recirc hose is for. It allows some water to go. But the hose reel is another scrapyard find. It was a little bent up, and I'd have to hunt for it, but one of these edges was bent in. I think maybe a fire department or wildland group or whatever happened to hit it, maybe got it with a branch, tree, backhoe, whatever. But one of these was bent over and the bushing was damaged. And so, I mean, we picked it up from the scrapyard for, I think, $10. And we beat the drum back into position and replaced the bushing. And I mean, it's not perfectly pretty, but it is definitely functional, and it gets the job done. So I picked up some heavy duty industrial hose rather than going with a true booster hose, and just a heavy duty, I think that was a $20 spray nozzle down at Home Depot. But I was trying just regular garden nozzles, and I saw that one. I'll give it a try, and I really like that one. It's actually really heavy duty. It's got a heavy stream. It's not great for gardening, but it's definitely great for this purpose. And then I added just a little jerry-rigged string there to hold that into place and keep this, so that on the off chance it does start to unreel, it's not going to just keep unreeling and end up going down the highway as I'm heading down the road. So it's just a little safety factor to keep the hose in place. And then over here is another inlet. And so normally this is cammed off, and it has that cam in there. And so I have, either the cam I can put in there, I can hook on with a garden hose, I can open that up, and that's just another inlet that allows it to go in. But primarily what I use it for is, I'm trying to do all this stuff one-handed, but primarily what I use it for is if I want to haul extra water, I've got a second cube, and that sits in the back of the truck, which slaves in with an 1.5 inch suction line, and it comes all the way in the back. And so I turn the valve on up there, I turn the valve on there, and now I've doubled my water capacity. And yeah, so then I can move forward with either firefighting or irrigation or whatever I'm using it for. And that is actually another thing about the pump, which is, this is not exclusively a firefighting trailer. It was tempting to get a true firefighting pump, which actually has much higher pressure. So it doesn't push as much water, but it pushes it out under higher pressure, so you can reach further, reach out and touch somebody, or in this case, reach out and touch the flames. But since I knew I was going to be using this for irrigation as well, I kind of got a mid-level pump. It's kind of an in-between pump that's good for irrigation, it's good for firefighting, but it's not great at either. But it's allowing me to utilize this in a multi-capacity, because we're using this, those are both potable water rated IBC totes. And so we've been trying to keep them clean. We periodically bleach them and so forth, so on. But we use that to hook into the piping there, and that goes up to the top of the hill where the cistern is. And actually that's my goal for today, is to fill the cistern. But when it's full, we have 2,000 gallons up there. And ultimately that's going to be our water source, our potable water stuff. But in the meantime, we're using the water to irrigate all this. So the grass is still young enough. I'm not one of those people who feels like I have to have that lush lawn, but I definitely want to get the lawn established before it gets completely dried out and stuff. And then the same thing with the garden. We need to keep the garden irrigated. But so that is the fire trailer. I'm going to actually fire it up here in a second and give you a quick demonstration of it and how it works. And yeah, so let me get that going. I mean, realistically, it's a hose flowing, but it's nice to see it in action. All right, one thing I wanted to show on the back here, that main discharge chute, that main discharge valve right there, that thing is actually 2-inch piping going through the valve, going through a reducer down to the 1 3/4 inch. Well, technically the fitting is 1.5 inches. And so the fire hoses that I showed in the box up front will mate directly up to this. This is actually not only is a reducer, but it changes it to the fire department threading pattern. And then this cap on here gives me some more versatility. Not only does it shut things off, but it reduces it down to a garden hose. So if I wanted to run multiple hose lays for firefighting or for irrigation, then I just pop that little garden cap off, hook a hose directly in there, a garden hose directly in there, and suddenly I've got 2 hoses. Or I can take this completely off, hook the fire department hose up to that to give me a much longer run going in whatever direction, and then hook this onto the end of that hose, which then gives me the possibility of running further hoses. I can put a Y on here, which I've got 2 Y adapters up in the truck box, and so I can run an 1 3/4 out, run it through the Y, the reducer, and then the Y, and then now I've got potentially 3 hoses, or even more, depending on how many times I want to Y it down. So the challenge though is every time you Y it down and every time you add more fittings on and stuff like that, it reduces the ultimate pressure in regards to what you're doing, and it uses up water faster. So anyways, the next step in what I'm doing today is I need to push all that water up into our water cistern. And so I've got my double female, and it goes into there. I'm going to put this down for a second. No, I'm not. Otherwise, I have to turn it off. I opted to go, I could have gotten a female fitting on the actual cam lock, but I decided to go with the male and then the double female here, just because it gives me versatility in regards to what I can do ultimately. So if I run into some scenario that I need to have the male or I need to have the female or something like that, this accomplishes the same goal right now, but it gives me more versatility down in the long run. And so all right, so that's hooked up. That goes to my main standpipe. Ultimately, what we're looking at here will have a pump house, and the well will be over on the other side of that hill. It'll come around the corner and back over in this direction. There will be a brick blockhouse kind of a structure here that's going to have our pressure tanks. It'll have a shallow well jet pump and things like that in it. The well pump will push up to the cistern. Gravity will feed it back down into this where the shallow well pump will be. So I'll have 2 pumps. The one that's in here is the one that pressurizes everything. The other one that's in the well is there just to push the water from the well up into the cistern. And then this piping arrangement will change because I'll have a main standpipe that comes out the front of the blockhouse, as well as slaving into the pressure pipes and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, so I've got the main valve turned on up at the cistern. We can turn this one on. And then we can turn this one on. And then pleasantly surprised at how fast this thing pumps. I mean, you can actually already see a change in the level just in the 20 seconds that this thing's been on. So this thing moves a lot of water real quick, and I discovered that if I open both valves, even with the amount of water that pumps, I still get, because that one's higher than this one, I still get a little bit of water that goes into that and overfills it. I could probably turn that one on now. In order to, and I gotta release this. I haven't gotten around to putting a little vent release cap like what's on top of that one, because otherwise that cube will just collapse in on itself like a aluminum can. But all right, that's on. Oh, I gotta turn the other valve on the intake. You can hear the air bubbles going through it. Losing a little bit of water. Anyways, you can see what's going on there. I timed it the other day, and it takes me about not even 5 minutes to completely empty both of those cubes and get it up in there. So that's 550 gallons of water being pushed up into the cistern, minus what I was spraying to demonstrate stuff. So 5 minutes to move that amount of water, I'm pretty satisfied. That being said, I think I am going to shut this down, and because I need to tighten up that fitting, and then also monitor this stuff, because it's a little juggling act, because as that one gets lower, I need to isolate it and open that one fully, and anyways, it requires a little bit of attention. But therein lies the fire trailer. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I know it's been a while since my last video, but I don't feel like some of the stuff we've been doing is really all that interesting unless you enjoy watching trees be cut and bushes cleaned up and chipped and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, that's going to conclude the video for today. I've still got some changes on the fire trailer that I want to make, like I need to add some little tool racks. I want to add a couple other little things. I think I might actually add some little retaining clips so that I can hook that hose that goes between the truck and the trailer. I could theoretically drive with that thing in place, but it sags a little bit. So I think I might get some retaining clips on that front red part, and then that'll help secure that and keep it in place. But you know, I think there's probably going to be little alterations that I keep making to this for the duration, and it's just going to come as I come up to the conclusion of things, then it makes it happen. So that being said, I'm going to let you go. I got some stuff to do, and I hope you all are doing well. I know it's hot pretty much everywhere in the Pacific Northwest, and hope you all stay cool.